Good morning. Great to see everybody. How's everyone doing this morning? We can have a bit more energy. Yeah, great. Did you know that HTC has a woman founder CEO? Yeah, right. She is my boss and my personal hero in many ways. When she was a young woman, freshly graduated from UC Berkeley, her first job was to sell motherboard to customers in Europe. What that means was that she didn't have money to afford a card, so she dragged along with her these 50-pound computer up and down the trains to travel all across the continent to demonstrate motherboard performance. When she was tired, she started dreaming about having a small computer, so small that fits into her hand, yet so powerful that she can use to do many things. That dream was very silly at that time, but she kept it close to her heart for 10 years until Windows CE came out. And that was the point when HTC was born to pursue that dream. From then on, HTC went on to create many of the world's most advanced and beautiful smartphones. Remember the first PDAs, the first Win3G, the first Android phone, first 3G and 4G phones. The rest was history. They say that girls with dreams would become women with vision. And I often think about this little girl who I took a picture of in a remote village in 12,000 feet in the Indian Himalayas some 8 years ago. I hang her picture on my wall because I can see in her eyes that she too has many dreams. I dreamed as a little girl to be many things, among them an astronaut, an explorer, a paleontologist, and a diplomat. I wanted to travel to all corners of the world and beyond. I wanted to go back in time and understand the origins of life. I wanted to build bridges between countries and contribute to world peace with soft power. As it turned out, I didn't quite turn out to be any of the above so far, but there are many signals that leads me to believe that we're in the time in history where dreams could become reality a lot easier. Now is the best time to be alive. I believe you have heard this optimistic view on the state of the world from many leading thinkers, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. We live longer, healthier, safer, wealthier, freer, more peaceful, and more stimulating lives than those who came before us. Sometimes we take for granted a lot of these human progress that can tangibly be measured by a wide range of scientific data. On almost every single measure you can think of, from life expectancy to education, peace, prosperity, equality, human happiness, things have gotten a lot better and are continuing to get better. I believe that human progress is at its root born from imagination. The unique trait of sapiens is our ability to create and believe in fictions, things that don't exist at all. There are many other animals that have communication systems, but they largely use it to describe reality to each other. Whereas humans use our communication system to create and communicate new realities. That's where progress comes from. This power of human imagination has brought us here. With 70,000 years of revolution since the cognitive revolution, and I believe that it could be further harnessed for the next level of human flourishing. That brings me to the vision of Vive. The convergence of technology with humanity will unleash human imagination. Vive means life. It is the birth of a new era. Vive is a portal to access some life-changing experiences, where the impossible could become possible and the incredible could be created. Winning over 200 awards globally, adding one more from last night, thank you AWE, Vive is the start of another exciting journey for HTC into the future. We want to be at the forefront of creating premium VR, raising the bar for all the content creators out there to dream for bigger and better. That's why there are now over 3,000 content titles on the Vive platform and over 30,000 developers in the Vive community. And both of these numbers are growing every day. But no matter how advanced the technology, it is with care, compassion, reason, optimism, all these great qualities that make us human, that we can create those possibilities that matter at all. Total immersion, as we know, creates a powerful sense of empathy. For the first time in forever, we can embody ourselves as someone else. A refugee, astronauts, or Olympic skiers racing down the slope. Let's take a look at this video.
Oh, wow.
How was it able to ski again?
She's 15 years old. You made it feel like I'm watching. VR is going to be a very nice experience for anybody who's handicapped. I think it'll open new doors.
It's deeply moving to see the humanistic impact of a technology that can bring. VR, this technology we're all working together on, can offer the same experiences to anybody, regardless of their status. We envision Vive to be that great equalizer. Hence, you can look at this equilateral triangular logo that we've designed. It means it's created by the people, for the people, and shared with all people. Today, we're creating Vive Reality. It is the convergence of VR, AR, 5G AI, and blockchain technologies. Let's start with VR and AR. Some call it MR, XR, sometimes we endearingly call it super reality. Regardless of what it's called, we see it as a reality-virtuality continuum, encompassing all the possible compositions in between of real and virtual objects, from completely real to completely virtual, and in between, where the virtual augments the real and the real augments the virtual. That's why we have designed the first generation Vive with a front-facing camera. And now with 2 cameras on each of Vive Pro and Vive Focus. There are a lot of possibilities that can be unleashed with these new cameras. With the SRWorks SDK that we recently released, we envision developers unleash their imagination to create something beautiful. This is our first testing in the Taipei office. There's something therapeutic about interacting with a fish like that and hearing the bubbles. And here at AWE, the Project Ghost is on display with multiplayer capabilities, using these stereo cameras to bring Vive Pro into a mixed reality experience.
Hello? Are you done yet? Playing whack-a-monster like usual. Look, I don't have time to explain. Just get in here. We need you. Yes, just walk into the portal. Move it, move it, move it!
You can, and now with Vive Focus's camera, you can also, I have heard about a story of a developer wearing Vive Focus, using the front camera to walk around a whole city. And of course, now with these cameras, you can also do simple gesture recognition and light stick stop control as well. But the most important the concept to take away is that in the future, there will be no need to delineate between VR or AR experiences or any of the realities in between. People will just be interacting with the virtual and augmented world in a seamless, frictionless, and continuous ways, like what you saw in the video. To bring that closer to reality, we have to talk about connectivity. Our lives have become so dependent on connectivity that we can hardly imagine life without it, and 5G is coming. The next generation network is characterized by super wide bandwidth, powering tens of gigabits of data per second, and ultra-low latency of data transmission of less than 1 millisecond. Both of those attributes make 5G just the perfect matching technology for VR and AR. Through real-time edge computing and lightning speed data transmission, 5G will massively enlarge VR and AR capabilities by leveraging the supercomputing power in the network. We will be able to offload a lot of today's device-based processing to the cloud, so VR and AR will no longer be constrained to local storage or hardware. The form factor of our devices will become a lot more lightweight as a result, and we'll be able to enjoy great quality immersive content anytime, anywhere. Smartphones will be our first step towards 5G for many of us, and they might take on different forms as 5G reduces the need for device-based computing power. The screen may be decoupled away from the smartphone, displayed onto our VR, AR devices, or even projected directly into our eyes. 5G will also realize the true potential of Internet of Things. We're no longer just talking about 7 billion smartphones on the planet, but instead hundreds of billions of connected devices and trillions of sensors, making things work better and more efficiently, gathering relevant data around the world and bring them to us in no time. Which brings us to the next important pillar of artificial intelligence. Recent advances in machine learning and artificial intelligence have shown great promise of leaping us forward from today's digital revolution to the next industrial revolution. Just like electricity gives us power today, I believe that AI will be adding intelligence through the network to all devices, all things, and all people. AI will be woven into our everyday life. You wouldn't even notice it. Today, we're spending time to understand how our gadgets work. In the future, our gadgets will know us in many cases better than ourselves. AI will truly understand our needs, and VR and AR will become the most important portal to access the power of AI. And for machines as well. By modeling physics, motion, and material interactions, VR will become the next training ground for artificial intelligence. A very famous example you might have heard of is OpenAI, who trained a neural network to play Dota 2, a highly complex game, using a view of the screen as the visual input. The team was able to train the bot by playing against itself over and over again, faster than real time in the cloud, evolving it from zero to becoming really good to become unbeatable in the course of a week, defeating some of the best professional players of Dota in the world. Other than gaming, real-world automatons like robots, drones, and autonomous vehicles can all be trained in simulated real-world scenarios before being deployed without endangering real people or real things. The combination of VR and AI will unlock this future where competent intelligence machines will learn exponentially through self-learning and in the intelligent, realistic simulations in VR. The intersection of AI and VR will also have tremendous impact on learning. As an ancient Chinese philosopher Xunzi said, I will not challenge you to read that, I'll try to translate that for you. Tell me, and I'll forget. Show me, and I may remember. Involve me, then I understand. Seeing is better than hearing, but experiencing is everything. Adaptive, personalized learning can be truly tailored to every individual need. And full immersion of VR and AR will enable learning using all of our bodies and senses that will dramatically improve recall rate and learning outcomes for anybody, corporate training, school students, or lifelong learners. Our VR education arm in China recently rolled out a comprehensive VR classroom solution, connecting dozens of students simultaneously in the same physical and virtual environment to learn. They have already developed a deep library of over 100 courses covering 13 different subjects. And this library is growing every day thanks to a simple authoring tool that the teachers are able to use to continue creating these content. AI's application for healthcare are boundless, improving diagnosis, training doctors, or recommending treatment and health plans, and so much more. Yes, this week, just 2 days ago, our healthcare division announced the launch of HTC's DeepQ AI platform. that will provide user-friendly solutions for AI development. Our partner in surgical theater has an amazing technology to stitch together thousands of MRI images to reconstruct a 3D environment of human organs. What this means is that surgeons can plan critical surgeries better than ever was possible before. What I find really beautiful is how this can serve as a communication tool as well to help patients and their families to understand better what they're going through. This is Jade. 10-year-old Jade. I met her at the Oakland Children's Hospital through her doctor, the chief of surgery and a friend of mine. And this is one of those profound stories that almost chokes me up each time I tell it. So I'm going to ask the doctor to tell you.
I don't know how else to describe VR and VR planning except to say that it's a huge, huge leap forward. With VR planning, the opportunity to take a surgery from start to finish and really practice your craft ahead of time is invaluable. As a pediatric subspecialist, when I place a VR system on my patient, my child, it changes everything for them. They saw me as a white coat right up to that point, and the moment that I gave them that controller, I'm in their world. I'm speaking their language. This is their reality, and they welcome me in a way that I've been searching for all this time. We were able to talk more easily about what has to happen. They themselves understand what's going on. If they came into this with either fear or anxiety, that is also melted away because they have this better understanding. So it's a huge, huge advantage for my patients. But even at a more fundamental level, to see a worried parent who clearly has not slept well in weeks or months, who can't eat anymore, whose reality is completely upended, to see that when they walk in, to see the calm that comes over them, there's just really no words to describe that. Jade's story was unique because of where her tumor was. When I looked at her MRI, I already immediately started thinking, well, how am I going to get there? I can't tell you how much time I spent scrolling back and forth in different two-dimensional planes trying to put this puzzle together in my mind. But as luck would have it, I had access to VR planning for Jade's case. I was able to fly in virtually and walk around her tumor and study each individual vessel in its entirety. Once I got to the tumor, I knew exactly where all these vessels were with respect to each other. I knew where I had to slow down and which vessels I could rapidly move my way through. And tumor came out in its entirety. This is a case where virtual planning made all the difference, I think, for her surgery. Jade's a very smart cookie. As I was flying her through and trying to keep my professional game face on, she reached up and tried to grab her virtual tumor in midair and started smiling and almost giggling. And if I could script a patient experience in any way to get my patient and my family through a really scary process, I wouldn't script it any other way. And I really am fortunate that I've got this technology to help my families.
I'm happy to report that Jade is now happily, healthily back at school. Hello, getting back actually at her Kung Fu practice and even telling me that she's planning on going skydiving. So blockchain technology, it brings us many transformational promises, including giving back to people the ownership, the value of their personal data, and empowering a new economic paradigm of the society, removing unnecessary intermediaries, power of transparency. There are many different ways that we can think about blockchain as a transformational technology for our society. A few weeks ago, we announced Project Exodus to build the world's first native blockchain phone, with the mission to power the decentralized internet. It will allow interoperability between existing blockchains, making each phone a node of the network, and empowering its owners to keep their data, crypto assets, secure and private on their device. By creating the world's first branded phone dedicated to decentralized applications and security, we want to contribute to expanding the blockchain ecosystem to fulfill the many promises that we imagine of this technology. Well, we're just getting started with that. We're already seeing the VR community creating so many meaningful applications on their intersection of blockchain. I want to share a few examples from our ViveX portfolio. ViveX is our $100 million accelerator program globally. We have had the fortune of investing in and working closely with 85 companies since in the past 2 years. And there are many trailblazers in our portfolio that are already experimenting, finding new ways and meaningful applications at this intersection, including Oben, the Pasadena-based company that's building a personal artificial intelligence network where everyone can create a lifelike digital twin avatar that looks, talks, and behaves like themselves. Nanome is creating a scientific collaboration platform where scientists and engineers can use nano-precision VR tools to design scientific solutions to some more scientific challenges and reap the fruits of their labor as well. Big shout out to the Nanome team sitting here. They're doing amazing work. Similarly, in a different vertical, Abe Lab is building a collaborative marketplace where brands and members can access and engage with highly qualified VR and AR content creators that can use their VR creation tools to build XR experiences without coding knowledge and have their IP protected using the smart contract and transact more easily. Subdream Studios is creating an online-to-offline gaming economy based on a gaming token called Umerium, integrating with marketing tools and user engagement tools that allows their gamers to earn and spend in their offline arcades and to their online store. Elsewhere, ViveX portfolio, you also see projects like Decentraland and High Fidelity, exploring decentralized asset ownership and digital identities as well. With all these great technologies converging in the near future, we are really not that far from entering the metaverse that has long captured our imagination in the science fiction, where interconnected, persistent experiences come to life in virtual and augmented worlds seamlessly. It's incredible to think about all the possibilities this can bring to the betterment of our society. Of course, there's also well-documented dystopian view of this future, as eloquently told in the story of Ready Player One. So it is our responsibility as an industry to harness the power of these exponential technologies and use them for good. Because as it says in the Bible, from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. And that's on us. That's the inspiration behind our VR for Impact program in support of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Some of my personal favorites among the grant recipients so far include Ortho VR, using VR to design and rapidly 3D print prosthetic limbs for amputees in low-income countries. And Oxford's LIFE project that uses VR to broaden access to life-saving training for medical emergencies. Or imagine if you're a tree, a beautiful big tree overlooking the rainforest, only to face the horror and visceral pain of being cut and burned down. Maybe then you will understand and feel the pain of those 50,000 acres of rainforest disappearing every single day and take action. Art, on the last point I will touch upon today, has been a perennial form of human expression. It's a way to communicate our inner life, an idea, emotion, an imagination, certainly important mechanism for generations to pass on their cultural heritage. That's why we created Vive Arts. Our recent collaboration with two of the most respected contemporary artists in the world at Art Basel, I think really demonstrated the impact of VR as a new fine art medium to reach new audiences. The performance of Marina Abramovich in The Rising asks us to consider the effects of climate change as we interact with her avatar, who is slowly drowning in this glass tank, if we choose not to act. Inspiring empathy for the present and future victims of climate change. Whereas Anish Kapoor, a very famous sculptor, brings us into a journey through the human body to offer us a sensation of radical introspection. Friends, partners, ladies and gentlemen, we are just at the beginning of a very transformational journey for mankind. And it is a dawn of the new reality. The HTC journey to get here today, coming from PC motherboard to smartphone to virtual reality and looking into the future, we believe that all these technologies are created with the purpose to benefit humankind. And all of you here are contributing to this new reality with such passion, dedication. You have demonstrated your boldness because it's still an emerging platform, and your vision for making profound impact on humanity and humanity's continued progress. I have no doubt that together, we can build this new reality for our future generations, where little girls and boys, no matter where they're from, rich or poor, able-bodied or handicapped, will see no physical limitations of their reality and will be able to use their imagination to pursue their wildest dreams. Thank you.